The hall was buzzing with laughter, chatter, and the clinking of glasses. It was one of those evenings where everyone wanted to be seen. Bright lights, expensive dresses, music filling the room, and whispers of gossip traveling faster than the waiters carrying champagne. But at the center of the spotlight stood Daniel, dressed sharply, with a confident smile plastered across his face. He wasn't just here to enjoy the event, he was here to make a point. And his point had a name: Lena, his ex-girlfriend. Tonight, he told his friends with a smirk, she'll see what she lost. She'll regret walking away from me. Daniel had always loved an audience, and he had carefully orchestrated this night. His new girlfriend, dazzling in a glittering gown, clung to his arm as he laughed a little too loudly and toasted a little too dramatically. He made sure the crowd heard him, about his new promotion, his new car, his upcoming vacation. Every story he told was laced with exaggeration, and every laugh he forced was designed to sting the one person not yet in the room. Lena. The two had broken up months ago. To the world, Daniel acted as though he had moved on effortlessly, but deep down, her quiet strength and decision to leave him unsettled him. She hadn't begged. She hadn't argued. She had simply said, "I deserve better," and walked away. That single sentence had pierced his pride, leaving him desperate to prove she had been wrong. So here he was, planning her humiliation. When the music paused and the announcer introduced a special guest, Daniel knew she had arrived. The double doors at the end of the hall opened slowly, and all eyes turned. Lena stepped in. She wasn't in a glittering gown. She didn't come draped in jewelry or clutching the arm of someone new. She wore a simple, elegant dress, soft in color, and her hair was pinned back in a way that highlighted her natural beauty. There was no grand entrance, no attempt to command attention, yet silence fell instantly. Even the music seemed to lose its purpose. Lena walked with quiet grace, her eyes calm, her smile soft but confident. And it was in that moment that Daniel's laughter died on his lips. He hadn't expected her to carry herself like that. He had imagined her shrinking, looking small beside his theatrics. Instead, she seemed to bring with her a presence so steady that the whole room shifted. Whispers started around him. "She's gorgeous. Look how confident she is. She doesn't even look bothered." Daniel swallowed hard. For a moment, he tried to salvage his performance. He raised his glass, his voice loud. Well, look who decided to join us. I wasn't sure you'd show up, Lena. Brave of you." The room tensed. His words were meant to bite, but they sounded weak against the weight of her silence. Lena simply turned toward him, her gaze meeting his, and walked closer. "I wasn't sure I would either," she said calmly, her voice steady enough to carry. "But I thought it was time I stopped hiding from a story that doesn't belong to me anymore." Her words caught him off guard. The room hung on every syllable. "I've heard enough whispers about why I left," Lena continued, her tone still even, but firm. "But let me make one thing clear, I didn't leave because I was weak. I left because I found my strength. I left because I realized my worth. And looking around tonight, I can see that was the best decision I've ever made." The audience shifted uncomfortably. Some nodded subtly. Others looked at Daniel with something close to pity. His face reddened, his smile faltered. His carefully crafted plan was unraveling in front of everyone. But Lena wasn't done. "Daniel," she said gently, not cruelly, "I hope you find happiness someday. Real happiness. The kind that doesn't depend on proving someone else wrong. Because until then, no matter how many lights you stand under, it will never feel like enough." Her words sliced through the air, but they weren't said with bitterness, they were said with honesty, with compassion even. That made them even heavier. Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to fight back, to laugh it off, but he couldn't. For the first time, he felt exposed, not because she shamed him, but because she hadn't. She had simply shown the truth. The silence that followed was deafening. People avoided his eyes, and some drifted toward Lena, greeting her warmly. She had walked in quietly, but she had left the room transformed. The music started again, but it felt different now. Daniel stood frozen, his glass still in his hand, but the performance was over. He had tried to shame her, but in the end, she had stopped the music, not by raising her voice, but by raising her presence. And as she walked away with her head high, he realized something he had never admitted before: he hadn't lost a game. He had lost a person. Lena, on the other hand, left that night knowing she didn't need to prove anything. Her dignity had spoken louder than his pride ever could. And in that truth lay the lesson: sometimes the greatest strength is not in fighting back, but in standing tall, unshaken, while the world finally sees you for who you are.